Ingrained patriarchal culture in the male-dominated field of science. I want us now to talk about the achievements and challenges, and we are speaking to Michelle Opiyo, who is a network engineer with over a decade experience. She is joining us virtually, but right here in studio is Dr. Norah Obudho, East Africa Program Director at Women Lift Health. And remember, about a day or so ago, today is the 12th, so 2 days ago, there was World Science Day for Peace. Thank you, ladies, for coming. Good to see you. You make me look good on TV this morning. I'm glad to see you.
Great.
Thank you.
Karibuni sana. So let's begin with speaking to Dr. Norah. Dr. tell us about, first about Women Lift Health. What is this about?
Well, once again, thank you for having me on this show. Women Lift Health is all about advancing women in mid-career to advance into senior leadership positions in health. We want to do this so that we can catalyze systemic change, and then we can have good health outcomes. We believe that when women are elevated and their voices amplified and they're able to sit at the decision table in matters research, policy formulation, and implementation, then we will have quality and evidence-based decisions and ideas put out there that will meet the needs of the population.
Okay, very interesting. But what has been stifling the voice of women? Is it that they are not organized in a way that they can speak, or they're not offered this platform, or it's just traditionally, this is not your area, so you have to sit down?
No, I think it's just because STEM has been male-dominated for a very long time. And when women come into STEM, in the STEM career and in leadership positions, then they look like they're intruders, so their voices are not heard. And these things are starting from, at the individual level, where we have prejudices and stereotypes, where we say this is not a place for women. Women's place is somewhere else, maybe in the kitchen, perhaps.
Okay.
And they're not getting equal opportunities to pursue these careers and also just get into the career itself and be retained within STEM careers.
I would have really wished to be within the STEM, but science, technology, and mathematics, not my area. Yeah. Let me speak to Michelle. Okay. Michelle, good to see you. Tell us, what is about network, what is network engineering before we begin the conversation?
Well, network engineering it's a vast field, and it involves interconnectivity. So I think the best example, easiest for any follower or listener to understand, would be how the internet works. The internet is basically the different networks connected to one another using different modes of transporting data across the oceans, across physical space, right? So that we can all be able to communicate with one another. So network engineering is just a subset of data communications engineering. And that's what I've been practicing for the last 10 years. For the last 10 years, at least, I see a lot of cables here, and Collins knows one or two about network. But let's talk about now the fact that increasingly the women's voice in science needs to be heard. Apart from the fact that you're telling me the more, this is Dr. apart from the fact you're telling me the more that women are given that voice, the more that more women will come into these careers. And this speaks to a lot of young women who are just thinking, where else do I go after this? What is the other main reason, having been in this for a while, what is the other main reason that we need to amplify the voice of women in STEM?
Okay, the need for amplifying their voices is that the women bring a different perspective. Women have a lived experience. They have different solutions. Their leadership style is mostly inclusive. And if we bring women in with their lived experiences, then we can come with a more, we could say, gendered approach to decision making, because we bring this on the table. We bring our lived experience, a different perspective. And so then we can have policies that are addressing this diversity in the needs that are there in the population. So that's why we need to bring women on board on this. Okay, short and brief and to the point. Michelle, what is the representation? What is the space of women, especially in STEM, first around the world, and secondly, perhaps you talk to us in Africa and specifically in Kenya. What is the representation of women?
I think globally we can say that the representation of women who are pursuing STEM courses is globally on the rise, right? So that has been the case for the last 10 years. A lot of efforts have been taken to get women into STEM, to encourage them to take these careers. But the main challenge comes when they join the actual careers and we find that they're dropping off way too fast. As Norah said, we're trying to get women into these leadership positions so that they have a place on the table. But if they're not able to stay in their career long enough, then they're not able to actually get to that point of the career when they actually have a seat at the table and they're able to participate in creating the policies that would support more women to come into tech.
What is this reason why they're not able to stay in these careers long enough?
There are many different factors that go into it, and I think some of them have been mentioned. Things like just the social norms that we have in different societies where they don't expect to see women doing certain things. So you go into a space that isn't ready for you at all. So, for instance, I just remembered actually my university experience. There was actually no washroom for children, for women in majority of the buildings. So sometimes you need to go to the washroom and you have to go a long way just to find that. So you can imagine a workspace that isn't catered to your needs. You don't feel accepted. You don't feel like this is somewhere I can be comfortable, I can thrive. So some of that contributes to just slowly driving women off. Some of the policies that we have, the business, the things we recognize as success in a business, it's who's the loudest, who's making the most noise. But a lot of women are good silent contributors. They do a lot of good work, but they don't speak out very much on what they're doing. So that amplification is very important for them.
Don't you think this emphasis on amplifying the voices of women in STEM will inevitably diminish the voice of the men?
I don't think so, because I think gender equality in every sense of our societies a joint responsibility. So women getting something doesn't mean taking it away from men. There's enough of a pie. We just need to make the pie larger to include everyone.
Making it large.
Yeah. So we have to work together. Men and women have to become allies to one another in order for there to be progress in the equality in the field.
So it's none of your business to amplify the other voice. Your work is to amplify the women voice, but you need to work together with the men. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. What we're saying is that the men need to work together with the women, right? We're saying that men have majority of the power right now. So it's also, they have an onus, right, to be able to seek out women who are in these positions, in these technology companies, and ensure that they don't drive them out of the career, right? By becoming an ally, making sure that they understand what are the challenges they're facing and helping them address them, because they're the ones with more power in the situation. And as more women stay in the field, then we're able to get more balance and better results for everyone.
Like 30% of women is not a small number, yet it's not also a large number, but it's a good place to begin. What is the representation of this across the country in terms of where do we see most women having taking this initiative to ensure they're out there, especially in relation to STEM? Because the 30%, perhaps there's a way it's distributed. Which part of the workforce, in terms of career choice, do we see the most distributed? Is it in medical? Is it in technology? Is it in the teaching fraternity? Where exactly? Because 30%, I think, is still small, but it's a good place to begin.
I think I'd want to counter that, because we're saying that women really are underrepresented globally. And when we look at those that are in the research field, who are employed in research and development in the sub-Saharan region, then we only are talking about 30%. Now, we have an advantage, or maybe we could say that we are ahead in terms of life sciences, where medicine, nursing, pharmaceuticals all fall under life sciences. However, even when we disaggregate to this level, we find that even in the health workforce, 70% are women. 25% are the ones who are making it into senior leadership, and only 5% are getting into the CEO level. So there's still, even when you disaggregate across the sciences, technology, engineering, and math, there's still these disparities that we are seeing in this field. So there's a lot to be done. We could say 30% is a start. There was data that was showing that initially it was 28%, so maybe a 2% move up, but there's still work to be done.
Okay.
Yes.
There's still work to be done, but luckily you're among the 5%. How easy was it to be among the 5%?
It was not easy. It was not without its challenges, where you particularly face in the course of, the tertiary learning in the university, where you'd face a bit of bias and discrimination as a woman, giving a response to a right answer, but only when it's heard from the men, then the answer is surely correct. So there was that influence and difficulty as you navigate through the career journey. Mm-hmm. However, for me, I would say that being that my father is an engineer, my mom is a teacher, that was already family influence that we had, that I had in pursuing my career, as well as having also a godparent who's a doctor. He's late, Dr. Miruka. He supported me in my, when I was looking into doing my medicine, and generally been surrounded, including spousal support. You need your spouse to support you in your career journey. So having that environment, that conducive, enabling environment at home, in the society, in the organization, in the workplace, these are critical to ensure that women are retained within STEM courses.
All right, and Michelle, for you to even get to the level where you are, there must have been challenges for you, challenges that you surmounted, definitely that's where you are. But what are some of the most difficult things or hurdles you had to jump in order to be an engineer? Because it's not easy. Personally, that's not my area at all.
You're right, yeah, there are hurdles to go through. I found that one of the biggest hurdles is also getting out of our own way as women. So being able to advocate for yourself, to, so to speak, lean in and embrace the challenges, embrace big responsibilities, and present yourself as a capable and ready person to meet the requirements of whatever job you're involved in. So a lot of it is for women to get rid of that so-called imposter syndrome, and just focusing on knowing that what you're doing is good and it's enough and it's sufficient to get you to the next level. Another thing was just finding, for me, has been difficult, like finding female role models, because like we said, we have the starters engineers, and you might have some very advanced ones, but you need someone in that middle, someone who's relatable to you, that you're able to then seek career advice from. And that's always difficult to find, especially in technology and engineering.
Okay.
But there have been many programs that we've been involved in, and myself as well, just to get more women together so that we can get those role models who are able to guide us through this process. Because like has been said, you can't do it by yourself. You need a good support system around you in order to stay in the field.
Okay. And the third is something that I'm very glad the two of you ladies are doing this morning. You're not diminishing the other voice. Actually, you are looking at a place where there could be gender equality. So, for example, in the health sector, what will this likely portend if there was equality within the health sector in terms of gender? Okay.
If there's gender equality in the health sector, then it means that women's perspectives on the table, men's perspective on the table. The plus there is that then we have an engendered approach to solutions that are being sought, the solutions that are being put into policy and that are being implemented. So it's all value addition when we have a balance in this table where women and men are equally represented and coming up with solutions.
Okay.
There's diversity out in the world, and we need to meet that diversity, and therefore the decision makers must also represent that diversity.
All right. Yeah. Ladies, stay with me. I'm coming back to speak to you more about STEM and your roles in the society.